Over the course of the ninth grade year, I evolved as a writer. My writing grew in the areas of reader response, style, vocabulary, mechanics, and syntax, and I added muscle to my skeletal strengths in critical analysis and organization. We started the year with a formative writing assessment based on the novel When I Was Joe. I chose to research and write a magazine article on a social issue, a topic referred to many times in the novel, cutting, a form of self-injury. Looking back on my first effort of the year, there were clearly gaps in my writing. I had done a great deal of research on cutting. As a result of this in-depth understanding of the issue, the article was detailed and analytical. This is the research that I did before writing my final piece on cutting. Based on the research that I did in the different categories and subtopics of cutting, I organized my final piece into paragraphs that each of them were part of one of the subtopics. In this way, my ideas were organized logically and were effectively enhanced by appropriate cohesive devices. However, there was a significant shortcoming in the article. It would not resonate with the intended audience. For an article in a magazine for teens, its tone was formal and factual, better suited to inform parents and adults about the issue than to engage a teen. Moreover, there were awkward transitions and a lack of cohesion between different ideas in the paragraphs. For example, between these two paragraphs, I jumped immediately from one idea to the next, without any connection or flow between the two paragraphs. Also, in both of these places there are awkward transitions, and between the last two paragraphs there is again no connection or flow between them. While the vocabulary was good and varied and wide-ranging throughout the piece, the mechanics and syntax were monotonous, and the sentence structure was very simple. The type of my sentences did not vary, and neither did that of coordinated and subordinated structures. For example, in this paragraph, the four sentences that are underlined in blue, green, red, and gray have very similar, if not exactly the same, sentence structure. The coordinate and subordinate structures are the same, and they are not rearranged in any of the sentences, and they follow the same pattern. The same is seen for this paragraph, where the three sentences in this example also have the same sentence structures. As I have shown, there is a lot of room for progress. The next major writing effort was on an autobiographical incident. In this descriptive essay, I applied the many rhetorical devices, imagery, and showy language that we learned about throughout the year. Brainstorming and planning led to multiple revisions of the essay, wherein different ideas were considered, and they played a major part in shaping the final outcome. As seen over here, this is the brainstorming I had put into the autobiographical incident, the draft 1 and the draft 2. In the finished essay, a lot of improvement can be seen in the use of vocabulary, mechanics, and syntax, style and fluidity, and the use of rhetorical devices and imagery. The four rhetorical devices that I wanted to focus on throughout the autobiographical incident were diction, internal monologue, imagery, and the use of metaphors. Here is an example of my use of diction. And this is an example of internal monologue that I used in my piece. An example of imagery. And examples of metaphors. Also, my use of vocabulary had improved in the writing of my autobiographical incident, and also the style of my writing and the connection and fluidity between the paragraphs was also getting better. In addition, the mechanics and syntax was also improving in my writing, as can be seen in this paragraph, where the sentences in green, blue, and red all have different sentence structures and coordinate and subordinate structures. This is an example of how I attempted at varying the length and structures of my sentences. The progress that I made in writing my autobiographical incident was almost tangible. The third writing sample that highlights the progress of my writing is the Power Reading Cornerstone Assessment, the pastiche, on the novel Marcello in the Real World. This pastiche focused on using imagery and showing not telling language. This was entirely new to me. For this assessment, I had to do a lot of planning and brainstorming of ideas so that the final product would be better organized. There are many examples of the multiple drafts that I had to do during the writing process and all of the changes that I had to make to my storyline and scenes that I was going to include in the story. In my final pastiche, I used a lot of imagery and showing not telling language. I also improved my vocabulary and included a wider range of words in my writing. The use of imagery in my pastiche is highlighted in yellow, and these are different examples of imagery that I used throughout the piece. In reviewing the work that I did over the course of the year, it is clear that I have evolved as a writer. Specifically, I have learned reader response, my awareness of the purpose and intended audience improved, critical analysis, I have continued to show depth and thought in my pieces, organization, I have learned to organize my ideas in a logical and effective manner, style, I have improved the overall clarity and fluidity through my pieces, vocabulary, I improved my word choice and started trying to use a wider range of vocabulary in my writings, and mechanics and syntax. I learned to vary the lengths and types of sentences in my writing and change their structure. Although I have improved a lot and shown a lot of growth as a writer throughout the 9th grade year, there are many things that I would like to focus on going into 10th grade. First of all, I would like to read more so that I can understand the structure of the writing of the work and be able to use it in my own writing. Secondly, I would like to write more, whether it be journals, postcards, or letters, and to strive for perfection through practice. Thank you.